I want to talk about the best game on Nintendo Switch that you have never heard of. And while I actually have no idea how many people have played this game on Switch, I do have their Steam numbers. The all-time peak was 428 players, so it's safe to say that not a lot of people have played this game. Let me introduce you to the world of Blazing Beaks. This is a game that I have heard almost no one talk about, ever. I don't think I've ever heard this mentioned on any underrated Switch games list. Now, when I say that this is the best game on Nintendo Switch, that's a bit of an over-exaggeration. I don't literally mean that. There are games that I like way better than Blazing Beaks. There are games with way more depth than Blazing Beaks, and games that you can sink way more hours into. But for what you get for the price, Blazing Beaks might just be one of the best value games on the eShop. So let's talk about why. First, let's just briefly mention the price to kind of help frame this argument as to why Blazing Beaks is such a great value for your dollar. Blazing Beaks costs about $15 on the eShop. Now, if it was $15 all the time, I wouldn't be making this video. But consistently, you can get Blazing Beaks for about $2. That's what both me and my brother paid for Blazing Beaks. We both got a copy for about $2, and we bought it without really knowing much about the game at all. All we saw was the art style from a few of the screenshots on the store page, and we decided to give it a try since we had a little bit of eShop credit that we needed to use. Typically, when you buy one of these games that's on sale for like $1, $2, $3, a lot of the time they end up not being super special. They end up, kind of being crap. They end up being shovelware. But Blazing Beaks is different. Blazing Beaks is a very simple, highly replayable game that's all about running through these levels and increasing the challenge level for yourself as you do so in order to gain more loot. Let me explain exactly how it works. Every time you play, the run is completely different, so it's a roguelike. You go through a set of 5 different levels with a bunch of different sub-levels, and at the end of each of these levels, there's a boss that you fight. So you're battling through all of the different stages within a level, killing enemies, collecting coins, collecting keys, all of that fun stuff. But the main hook of the game is that you're trying to collect these things called artifacts. Now, artifacts, as you can see from this one right here, are things that make the game harder to play. Some of them make the game slightly harder, and some of them make the game almost near impossible. And all of these artifacts stack on top of each other. So you could grab a bunch of little artifacts that barely adjust how the game plays, but if you grab a bunch of the little artifacts, the game becomes substantially harder. And then, if you're deciding to pick up some of the tougher artifacts, the game can become just a disgustingly impossible challenge. Now, you don't have to hold on to the artifacts for your whole run. You're not supposed to. The more artifacts you collect, the better loot you'll get the next time you encounter a shop and trade in all of your artifacts. So, the whole game becomes this balance of trying to collect artifacts to increase your chances of getting better loot, but not collecting too many and completely screwing yourself over before you can actually make it to the next shop. It's a very, very addicting gameplay loop. It's not the most difficult game ever if you're planning on just doing one run and calling it a day. There's no progression as far as the individual runs go, so there's no carryover from your previous runs. Every run starts you back at 0, so the whole appeal of this game is just progressing through these levels as far as you can. Once you get to the end, if you don't die and you beat the final boss, you can keep your loot and keep doing runs, trying to see, how high of a score you can get. And each time you're able to make it through all 5 levels, the game gets progressively harder and harder and harder. Eventually, you will die. So because of this, there's not really an ending to the game. It's a very arcade-like game. You can basically keep going until the game finally kills you. You're just trying to get the highest score possible. This game can be played single player, but it can also be played co-op, and it is very fun co-op. There's no online multiplayer, but you can play locally on the same screen. The co-op is pretty much the exact same game, except you're playing it with a friend, and it makes it really, really fun to run through. Now, it's not all incredible. The game is very repetitive, so if you don't like arcadey games, this isn't for you. The bosses are also very lackluster, and probably the worst part of the game. I'll just show the first boss here, but yeah, they get better than this, but not by much. But despite those flaws, I still think this game is a great game. And yeah, like I said, just take a look at the hours that I've pumped into this thing. It's a very addictive game. It's a very fun game to play with friends. And I think it is 100% a sleeper, underrated hit on the Nintendo Switch. It's very, very fun. Your mileage may vary. This probably isn't going to be for everyone. It's a very simple game, but the gameplay works extremely well here. And even though it's a pretty small game, and it's definitely not the most ambitious game ever made, it is a very, very well-made game, and I think it's worth your time. And I definitely think it's worth your $2. So if you see Blazing Beaks on sale, go give this game a try. And if you've played Blazing Beaks, please let me know what you think of it down below in the comments. I'd love to have a conversation with one other person that's actually played this game before. And if you haven't played this game, I'd also like to know what you think of the game just from seeing this video. Are you planning on picking it up? Let me know. As always, I appreciate you guys, and we'll chat later. Bye.